Okay, hopefully you've looked at the information on carvings, carvings from New Zealand. So today I'm going to show you how to create a necklace design. And the first thing you're going to do is sketch out your idea. So I folded my paper into 4 pieces because I want you to sketch out 4 ideas and then pick the best one before you do clay. So I'm looking at these little pages that are basically inspired by designs from New Zealand. I'm not going to trace them. I'm just kind of looking at them, and I want you to be able to see it underneath the camera there. So I've got to kind of squeeze it in. But I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to sketch out 4. And so here I go. Okay, so I'm going to circle the one that I know I want to do, and I had to make sure that I drew where the hole's going to go since this is going to be on a necklace. I want to make sure that I indicate that on the actual drawing. Now, once you have your sketches, you're going to bring them to me, and I'm going to give you some clay. And this is air-dried clay, so it should dry overnight. And the first thing you're going to want to do is just work with the clay, roll it into a ball, or flatten it out. Now, you're going to see me in this video. I'm trying to roll it into a ball and not make you sick from looking at it because it's underneath that camera there. And I'm going to just use my hand, the flat part of my hand, to press that down flat. And I'm going to attempt to use a needle tool or to carve out, and I'm looking at my sketch and I want to just kind of carve it. Now, most traditional New Zealand designs are carved into bone, and so they have really sharp tools. We're actually making ours out of clay, so it's a different process. And as I start to kind of draw this on there, I'm realizing that while it kind of looks like my sketch, I may not get the results I want. So I'm kind of testing out how this clay works, you know, what it's like, and I'm just kind of feeling it out. And I end up deciding to change my mind. You'll see this here in a second. So here I go. I'm drawing it on there with a needle tool. Okay, so I'm trying to decide how I can get the look so it has some areas that are sort of raised up. I'm like, should I attach this here? I'm sort of thinking it through because a sketch is different than, you know, actually making something with your hands. It's different than using clay to make something. So I'm sort of testing out how I want this to go. Now, if you mess with the clay too much, it will dry out, so you kind of have to be careful. Okay, so I grabbed some water and I'm continuing to sort of carve out my design. You know, and I'm afraid it's going to dry out, and so I'm just kind of trying to smooth some of this clay out. And then I realized, you know what, this is not going to work. So I'm going to start over. I'm going to peel off a little chunk of clay because I know I want to have some parts on this necklace that are raised up. They're sort of 3D. And so I'm going to just start over. I rolled it into a ball, and now I'm going to flatten it out. And I'm going to go ahead and punch the hole in it. Now, this little hole is really important because that's how I'm going to make it a necklace later. So do not forget to put that. Otherwise, yours will just be a little flat thing. It won't actually be a necklace. So I'm going to, you know, really pay attention to my sketch. I want this to look just like how I drew it. So I'm going to roll out a coil with just rolling a little, like kind of like a snake between my hands. And now I'm going to lay it on here to make sure it's going to look right. And I realize it needs to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to roll it out, and there we go. Now, anytime you attach 2 pieces of clay together, you have to do a process called score and slip. So I just used my finger to create some slip, and I just kind of used a little bit of water on the clay, and it makes it really slippery right there, and that'll hopefully help hold this together. Now, I'm not going to really score these tiny little snakes probably as well as I should. Scoring means you're going to take that needle tool and scratch underneath. This scoring by scratching and adding slip by getting it wet helps keep it from falling off, because as it starts to dry out, this is just like real clay, it will fall off if you don't use that method to attach 2 pieces together. So I'm just kind of getting this wet under here. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of keep making my design, and here I go. Okay, so on the back, I decided to go ahead and create a little kiwi bird. You could definitely use the back to carve your name or put a little bit more texture or another design. Now, when I'm finished and I'm totally satisfied with my design, I'm going to lay it on top of my sketches, write my name in the middle, and now it has a place to dry out over the next few days. I decided to go ahead and use the needle tool to add a little bit more texture by pressing little dots down into the design. If you have any extra clay, make sure you turn it into Miss Mitchell. I think these look really cool just left plain white because they look more like bone, which is what my example is, that I brought back from New Zealand. But if you want to paint it, we will have the paint out when we're working on our paintings in a few days, so you can always go back and paint it later. Okay, thanks for watching.